Today, we are going to solve one of the biggest mysteries of murder drones, which is it is possible to clap V and have a baby for the survival of the human species. We're going to solve this by using the lore facts and real-life science to find out what could you realistically do with that drone if you were the last human on the planet Copper-9. But before we get to the science, I need to explain to you how drones make kids so you can have a clue about how drone-to-drone interactions work and find out how we can have those same interactions with them. This question alone could be a 30-minute video, but luckily for us, a Brazilian YouTuber has already given us this answer. Yeah, it had to be a Brazilian. The story of murder drones takes place on Copper-9, a mining planet owned by the mega corporation J.C. Jensen's in space. This is because some time ago, humans accidentally caused an explosion in the planet's core, killing all biological life. This forces the workers' drones to build their own society on this planet with their own schools and their own families. Okay, so how do they make these families without human intervention? Well, according to a theory, drones' parents make a copy of part of their code, one from the father and one from the mother, put it into a baby robot pill, and then after a few months, once the baby is mature, it's given a proper robot body. Okay, so we already know how they reproduce, right? Well, yes and no. We know how the babies are created, but we don't know how the babies are created in practice, if you know what I mean. According to the studies of the Brazilian guy, a very strong theory is that robot clapping is done through electric shocks that happen through direct contact between two of them. Oh, but they touch each other all the time, Freddy. How do they know which touch should activate the shocks? Well, my students, I had the same doubt at first, but analyzing the episode where M and V touched in the mansion, I noticed that the shocks they had was due to a certain type of robotic excitement because they like each other. This theory is reinforced in the episode where those two friends went out for a night out to make out, as the series itself shows.
We need to sneak this far just to make out?
In other words, yes, robots probably do make out with each other, which means that yes, murder drones robot feels some kind of pleasure, just not in the way humans feel it though. When drones kiss or touch, an exchange of vibrations, frequencies and small data packets occur via tactical sensors. It's like a high-intensity Bluetooth that makes their core heat up, simulating human excitement, which would open a connection port between the drones, and this connection would result in the collection and union of information from each one. And where would this information be sent, you ask me? Exactly, to the baby robot pill, which will stay for a few months. After maturing, the parents would assemble a new, more adult body for this baby robot. Okay, so now we know that yes, robots clap and have babies with each other. Now we can find a way to do it being a human. To do this, we're going to use V as a case study since she's an adult robot and the most beloved characters in the series. Don't ask me why. Supposing you are the last human on planet Copper-9, the best way to do anything would be through some mandatory modifications to V's chassis. That is, of course, if she's willing to stay with you and willing to do these modifications, which I think would be possible if you have a good charisma. We have two ways to try the clap. The first way would be through the absolute solver mutation. Uzi proved in episode 4 that the absolute solver can transform an organic object into organic matter when she turns that stick into a living thing. If Uzi used this on V, she could theoretically create real biological organs in the metal chassis. This way, the solver would act by connecting new flesh nerves directly to V's circuits. This would allow her to feel the human touch in a traditional way. However, as we saw in the series, this can be unstable, but there is a great chance of it working because Sign, the main villain of the series, managed to live normally using a suit made of human skin. This proves that a drone can sustain soft and sensitive tissues, which means that it would be possible to use the absolute solver to create a genetic mutation in V, giving her stem cells to create synthetic skin. The challenge would be connecting the nerves of the skin to V's core so that she would feel prolonged contact as a positive stimulus. But I also think the absolute solver would handle the job. The second method, in case you don't want to risk biological rejection or an unwanted mutation, would be the creation of an interface without any mutation at all. And this would be possible by creating a new hip with a modified device. First, we will need to use a thermal isolation called aerogel. Aerogel is basically a solid smoke that real science serves to insulate heat and prevent humans from suffering burns in hot places. It is widely used in NASA suit for space exploration due to its lightness and insulation capacity. We would create a device of silicone polymers and other tools to create some kind of device that simulates the female pelvic structure with all its necessary parts. The last thing we need to do is to use pressure sensors which would send electrical signals to this data input. This way her computer would have the ability to detect pressure in the pelvic sector at different levels depending on the pressure applied during the thing, allowing for safe and functional contact for both parties. This is enough to make her doable, but it's here that I have to remind you that this tactic is for the survival of the human species. So to be worth it, you still need to get the drone pregnant by doing it. Lucky for us, that's actually the easiest part, and it will be possible with the installation of a biological translation chamber. Okay, but what the hell is a biological translation chamber, Freddy? Let me explain. This is a device used to translate DNA to amino acid sequences like A, C, G, T, etc. These amino acids can later be translated to binary code. In our case, it will work like this. As soon as the fluid is deposited, viscosity sensors will detect the organic material with your DNA. Inside this chamber, there will be an pore sequencing chip, a device that breaks down the cells in the fluids to release the DNA strands. The strands, however, pass through microscopic pores that read the main bases of your DNA and transform them into an organized amino acid sequence like these letters I said earlier in the video. After that, her computer converts this sequence into binary code 0 and 1. For example, the sequence for brown eyes in the DNA, M, R, A, T, G, etc. becomes a command line in the baby's code A equals 00, T equals 11, G equals 10, etc. Once the human DNA has been translated into a machine language, this system receives this DNA file and mixes it with her own personality file. Since the interior of V is extremely hot, this chamber needs a double wall of vacuum and ceramics to ensure that the DNA is not cooked before being analyzed. This combined data is sent via Wi-Fi or cable to an empty neural code, and the child that is born will have a mind based on this code but with instincts and personalities from the human father's DNA, aka you. So to answer the question from the beginning of the video, it is possible to clap V and have a baby for the future of the humanity? The answer is yes, it is doable. So if you are the last human on Copper-9, you now have the manual to maintain the survival of the human species, the science is on your side, and the lore confirms the viability. If this video was useful to you, or if you learned something, feel free to subscribe to the channel or comment your theories and thoughts, so I can make more studies like this and faster, because more subs equals more people learning. And remember guys, this is just a theory, a goon theory. Bye.